Is Tennessee the best program in the nation to never make it to a Final Four? Your thoughts on the message board, yay or nay. I'll give you some other examples. Brought to you by AndyMasonRealEstate.com. AndyMasonRealEstate.com has over 40 years of experience right there in their office. Andy Mason is incredible, and he'll get you the right home. He'll sell your home, and he'll save you thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars because of the experience, best prices, best service in the industry. It's that simple. You threw this question out there. I did my research, and wow, you could make an argument for Tennessee. So some teams I'll throw out there: BYU, Xavier, Missouri, Utah State, Alabama, which could change this year. We'll see. I don't think they've got the wherewithal to make it that far. Creighton, Boston College, Miami, Murray State, Arizona State, Tulsa, another team that has never made the Final Four, Weber State, New Mexico, UAB, Vanderbilt, which surprised me a little bit. I guess I should have known that. Davidson with Steph Curry never made it. Texas A&M, Ohio, Pepperdine, Old Dominion, San Diego State, George Washington. So there are a lot of teams on here that place a more of an emphasis on basketball than Tennessee, who's always going to be a football first school. But you talk about funding and the fact that Tennessee hasn't made the Final Four, that all the schools I just listed, Tennessee has as much or more funding than all of those schools across the board for athletic department. So I don't know what direction you're going, but as far as the best program to not make a Final Four, considering funding, I will go ahead and say yes. They're not Xavier. They don't have that sort of panache in basketball. At least they didn't 20 years ago. But yeah, for the funding that's been behind them, I'll play ball there. I think that they should have made the Final Four at some point. Surely to goodness.
Yeah, I think they're the best program too. When you talk about program size and their history, I mean, Tennessee's got a history of, look, I mean, Bernard King and Allen Houston and Dale Ellis, those are three all-star caliber players. Bernard King, if not for an injury, probably should be in the Hall of Fame. And,
yes,
I
think he still should be, but he was pretty good after the injury, especially considering the injury was in the 1980, where you didn't have medical technology. Nowadays, we're like ACL, we'll rub some dirt on that, you'll be fine. But he broke his leg and was still pretty good after it. So that to me, no, I'm with you. I mean, those are some big time names.
Yeah, some major names. You're right. And then so I do. I think Tennessee's the best. I think Missouri probably has a case. I'm not fully adept on Missouri's basketball history, but I know that they wasn't Gene Keady the coach there, or was that Purdue where he was the coach?
That was Purdue.
That's right.
He had an incredible come over.
Incredible come over? What does that mean? Oh, comb over. Sorry.
No basketball reference at all there, Caleb. But no, you look at those other schools, the Xaviers of the world place more of an emphasis on basketball because they know they can't compete in football. But based off funding alone, I mean, that's a pretty easy argument to make that Tennessee's the best program to never make the Final Four. But they may do it this year, Caleb. I know you believe.
Oh, gosh, no, I don't believe at all. But I will say, had they actually put any effort in coaching hires up until before 2005, I think we would have a different conversation right now. I think I look back at the candidates they could have hired when they hired Jerry Green and Buzz Peterson, and I'm just like, people like Greg Marshall were out there. People like Bill Self were out there. And you go for Buzz Peterson.
Well, and even the guy that had a long career at Vanderbilt.
Kevin Stallings.
That
would have been a boring team to watch.
They were boring, but he had success at Vanderbilt, and they had him hired. I don't know if you remember, but Kevin Stallings was on the front of the Knoxville News-Sentinel as the next coach of Tennessee basketball. That was written by Mike Strange at the time. And there was one little issue is that Doug Dickey went for the final interview, and Doug Dickey went in another room to take a phone call from Jerry Green, and then was thrown out of the Stallings household because Mrs. Stallings was listening to the phone call through the door. I think I
Oh,
mentioned that
Lord.
story to you before,
Yeah,
right?
I think you did. Yeah. Yeah. I know that Jerry Green was like, they rushed to get him. It was like, it wasn't not rushed to get him. I'm sorry. They settled for him on accident. They didn't really, he was not their top choice at all.
I will say this, the funniest thing about Jerry Green, and there were a lot of funny things about his tenure at Tennessee, including the Kmart, go rent your VCR tapes at Kmart. But the best thing was when I got a text from a coach. He said, you need to look up when Jerry Green was hired at Oregon. And it took forever. That was before YouTube had every single video known to man. I feel like they have my first steps on YouTube nowadays. But he's introduced, and they said, now I bring you Jerry Green. And he goes, I am so, so pleased, so honored, can't believe that I have been hired by the University of, and he forgot the name of the school. And and I swear to you, it's out there. Somebody goes, Oregon. And he goes, the University of Oregon. That's right. But one of his assistant coaches sent me that.